When you're writing a college paper, there are four basic categories of things you want to think about: structure, documentation, writing, and thinking. This video lesson is going to focus on documentation. This video will answer four questions. What is documentation? Why does it matter? Who is it for? And how is it accomplished? First, what is documentation? It's using sources ethically. Whenever you put an idea in your paper, you want to ask the question, is this idea yours? Or did someone else discuss it first? In other words, did you learn this new idea by encountering it in another source? Ethical use of sources is being honest about the ideas that you present. When you acknowledge that an idea in your paper is from a source, you're showing your integrity, your trustworthiness, and your respect for others. You're giving credit where credit is due. So documentation is really about you as a writer. Documentation is also about your ethos. Ethos is the Latin word meaning ethics. So documentation is a demonstration of your ethics. And a lack of documentation, when you don't acknowledge a source, you're automatically raising a question about your integrity, your trustworthiness, and your respect for others. You're not giving credit where credit is due. So a lack of documentation is also about your ethos. It actually makes your ethos questionable. Documentation is also showing your readers when you're using a source in your paper, how you are using that source, and where your readers can find that idea or source if they want to go read it for themselves. So documentation is also about your readers. How do you do documentation? There are questions you want to ask. In your paper, did you list your sources? You list your sources in your works cited page that goes at the end of your paper. Within your paper, do you signal when you've included ideas from a source? You do that by summarizing, by paraphrasing, by quoting, and by providing in-text citations within the paper. So, are you crediting your sources? Are you doing it consistently throughout the paper and every time you use an idea from a source? And are you doing it correctly? Are you following the MLA 8th edition guidelines? So, there are four aspects of a successful paper, and hopefully this video lesson has given you an overview about documentation. Hopefully now you have a better idea of what documentation is, why documentation matters, who you're doing it for, and how to accomplish good documentation. Because it's important. So just keep in mind, a carefully documented paper in college is always a good idea.